Good morning, everybody. So it's nice to see a lot of people here at BIPM, and I will also say that we have 90 people online at this time. So good morning, good evening. I don't know what time is it at your country, but it's pleased also to have so many people following this workshop. So I will just make a brief introduction. You don't hear me? Okay, better. So I just would do a brief introduction, and after that you will not hear me again, so don't worry. So it's my pleasure to host the international workshop on standards, measurement, and emitting nuclides in therapeutic nuclear medicine. So we have 2 days to exchange, and you see that there are 4 people here, so just 3 names, but I forgot maybe Anna, which is also from the Alphamed project. And technical. So this today workshop is intended to bring together people to discuss issues and needs, and the output of the workshops is that at the end, there will be a summary white paper. So that's the main objective. So the organizer are two organizers. So you have the CSRI, which is the Consultative Committee for Ionizing Radiation, and this CSRI has a working group, and we will have more details after that. And the second organizer is the Alphamed project. So I will not go in details because Brian this afternoon will give you more details. So just very quickly. So you had the BIPM, which is an international organization, which has been set up 150 years ago. And it's made in 3 bodies. What is CGPM, which is Conférence Générale des Poids et Mesures, decision-making body, a lot of people, high-level politics and representative of the member states. Then you have 18 members elected by the CGPM, which is the CIPM, Comité International des Poids et Mesures, which coordinates the actions of the organization and promotes the worldwide uniformity of the measurements within the SI. And you have what we call now BIPM headquarters, which is here, where you are. So 70 people working in international coordination liaison, also technical coordination laboratories, and I'm also the director for the ionizing radiation department of the BIPM. And the CIPM, which is there, is advised by several consultative committees, and the most important one for you is the CSRI for ionizing radiation. So you have NMIs, which are National Metrological Institutes, designated institutes, which are completing the capacities of the National Metrological Institutes. Most of the, in ionizing radiation, most of the institutes in metrology are designated institutes. And you also have, for dosimetry, an additional network, which is the SSDL, which is piloting and by the EAEA and WHO organizations. So 250 institutes. And in addition to that, you have the regional metrology organization, the RMOs, and it's important to see that because you have one of these RMO, Eramet, which is co-organizing this workshop. So consultative committees, you have, it was founded in 1958. So the present president is D.T. Jensen from NPL. I am the executive secretary, and you have 13 members, 10 observers, 5 years organizations, so all the names are there. This is already an old picture, so people can recognize themselves, and yeah. So 3 sections, section 1 for X and gamma ray charged particles, section 2 for measurement of radionuclides, which is the one of important of today, and section 3 for neutrons. So chair of section 2 is Lisa Karam, which is there. And within the structure of the section 2, so sorry for this picture, which is not very visible, but you have several working groups. The first working group is a key comparison working group, which is chaired by Ryan Fitzgerald from NIST and is mostly assisting CSI2 for everything about comparisons. You have a mass spectrometry task group newly created by Ben Russell, chaired by Ben Russell and Pierre, which is how to develop the use of the mass spectrometry to support the radionuclide metrology. And you have the radiopharmaceutical therapy working group chaired by Brian, which is there. So it will give you more details of what is going on, but it's mostly on nuclear medicine and radiopharmaceutical therapy, of course. Okay. On the second hand, you have the organizer, which is the Eramet, Metrology for Emerging Targeted Alpha Therapy, Alphamed, so project. So it's a European metrology partnerships, which wants to develop a metrological network to help implement targeted alpha therapy across European health institutes. A lot of European partners from a few NMIs and DIs, and also a few, let's say, a lot of NMIs and DIs, and a lot of other participants. And the coordinator is Jan Rusnak here. So, and it's also part of, in charge of one of the task group, working group of this Euromed project is Anna. So you will have more details after. So welcome once more at BIPM. So this is a nice Google 3D vision of our site. So we are here in the Pavillon du Mail. Just behind you, you have the Marie Curie building where we have the chemistry and the radiation labs. Which is the most important for you is this place, which we will have the coffee breaks and the lunch. And the main gate is just to see when, if you want to exit, because it's too boring here, so you can just leave in this direction. Okay. So if you have something which we try to put in place in order to reduce the paper consumptions, which is useful to have this kind of QR code, which allow you to get on your phone this draft agenda, and this is something maybe in the future we'll implement systematically in order to avoid that. So if this give us your feedback about this initiative and if it's fine or not. Okay. Addendum to the agenda, we propose for those who, especially for those who have never seen them, after this the end of the meeting of today, that we propose to have a visit of the BIPM radionuclide laboratory. You have seen that you can record it in the sheet at the entrance if you want or not. So depending on the number of people, we will certainly have to make several groups. So it's in order to organize ourselves for the future. Okay, so that's the end of my talk. Other points of importance. People which are online can only hear you if you are talking in the microphone. So we will have two microphones, one here, one is by Karin. Raise your hand if you have a question. Then we give you the microphone, and then you can talk. In that way, people which are following us by Zoom will be able to hear us. For people online, you can use, of course, all along the meetings, the chat, and you can ask your questions, and Brian and I will always have a look of what is going on in order to also put your questions during the discussion time. Okay, so I leave the floor to Jan.
Thank you, Vincent. Ladies and gentlemen, there will be a dedicated talk about the Alphamed project tomorrow, so I will just give you a short introduction. As you know, the targeted alpha therapy is quickly advancing area of nuclear medicine. However, it's not without drawbacks. And one of them is the lack of metrological traceability, not only at the end of the metrological chain in the clinical centers, but also at the beginning in the primary laboratories. So the Alphamed project aims to fill this gap by providing the necessary standards, by organizing the intercomparisons and running the calibration campaigns and so on. And as I said, you will hear more details about it tomorrow. And even though I'm the coordinator of the project, I'm not really an expert in the targeted alpha therapy. So I'm really looking forward for this workshop to hear more details about this very interesting topic from all the different perspectives. And I would therefore like to thank to all the speakers that they have kindly accepted the invitation. And I would also like to thank to Brian and Anna to bringing so many people together. It's really remarkable, especially in these days when, you know, all of us are getting thousands of invitations for conferences and publishing papers and so on. So it's really remarkable, and I would like to thank them. And I would also like to thank to Vincent and BIPM to providing us this very nice place to hold the meeting. So I hope we will have very enjoyable stay here and a very fruitful meeting. Thank you. I handle word to Brian.
Thank you, Jan. I would just like to add my welcome to all of you. I know that there have been other workshops around the world recently within the last couple of years that have dealt with both clinical, mostly clinical aspects of alpha radiation therapy. But this meeting in particular is kind of unique in that it's bringing together both the clinical side and the radioactivity measurement side. And so throughout the next 2 days, I'd like, especially for the clinical people, to keep in mind what measurement problems they have and feel free to bring those forward to your metrology colleagues. And for my metrology colleagues, I think we need to be mindful that anything that we do, any of the products that we develop, any of the standards that we develop, have to be relevant to the clinical setting. Because if they're too burdensome or they're not relevant to the types of measurements that are being done in the clinic, then they're not going to get adopted, and our work is for nothing. So I think if we go into the meeting with these kind of viewpoints, I think it's going to be very successful. So I'd just like to add my thanks to both Anna and Jan for their help in identifying speakers in particular. And then, of course, Vincent and the staff of the BIPM for hosting. I think that it's very appropriate, since we have a workshop that's kind of focused on radioactivity measurements, that we actually have a meeting hosted by the BIPM. So I'm very grateful that we have these facilities to take advantage of. And of course, all the speakers and for all of you for participating. I'm very grateful for that.